What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today's a good day, for the most part at least. Got in some parts in the big box. We have two wheel hub assemblies, because this one over here on this side, the passenger side, it sounds horrible going down the road the whole way. It sounds like it's got a bunch of dirt in there. So I bought two. I'm gonna do both sides. I'm gonna at least do this side right now. A good way to check to see if your wheel hub assembly is going bad or your bearings inside it is jack the vehicle up and put one hand on both ends of the tire and just try to shake it. If it shakes and moves and you can feel that, then your bearing's going out, or your wheel hub assembly. You can just go ahead. I got both of these for this Mustang for I think 50 bucks for both. Can't argue with that. And here is everything else that I'm going to be replacing right now. This, take a guess. It's the lower ball joint. Now I don't have a ball joint press, so either I'm going to go rent one, or I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way with a socket and some brute force. I don't really want to have to do it the second way. I was planning on actually just going to buy the kit to install the lower ball joints, a ball joint press, which I noticed the ball joint was bad when I was messing around trying to figure out if it was the hub or not. The hub was bad, the ball joint on this side is bad, so I got one for this side and got one for the other side. Now let's do both of them. Gonna be doing them right here. Is the inner tie rod, another inner tie rod, outer tie rod, another outer tie rod, and the two end links for the sway bar end links. Now for all that I just pulled out of that box, that was another 50. So for both wheel hub assemblies, end links, outer and inner tie rods, and lower ball joints, I paid all together with shipping and tax and everything, 104 I think, on Amazon. You can't beat that. At least that way I know it'll be safe enough to take down a track, which I'm trying to plan on going to the track Thursday. So today's Monday, I gotta work every day. So like today, it's getting late in the evening, it's probably 7. I'm gonna just do what I can. I wanna for sure at least get this wheel bearing replaced. Once that wheel bearing or the wheel hub assembly, whatever you wanna call it, gets replaced, then at least I know I'd be somewhat safe. Now, it might not be going straight as an arrow because everything else hasn't been replaced yet and needs to be replaced, but at least I know it's safe enough. I've been nervous just driving it around because I don't want the tire to fall off, and your wheel hub assembly is what holds everything on. So if that goes, hold on, you're in some deep shit. And if you're doing 80, 100 miles an hour especially, I mean, forget about it. So I want to at least I'll probably be able to get both of them, both wheel hub assemblies replaced. It's not too hard. I don't know if I'm going to just stop this video then and then start another video installing all these other parts I have, or what. We'll see. I don't know how much I'm going to get done tonight. I'll pick it back up again tomorrow when I don't get done tonight. And it kind of stinks not having the press. So I don't want to just do the wheel hub assembly and not do the ball joint. I might as well do everything at one time. So I got the jack and the jack stands over there. I'm going to go ahead and get that going. I'm going to loosen up both lug nuts on both sides just so that way they're loose before I jack the car all the way off the ground. Alright everyone, went ahead and got the tire and everything off. There's two 15mm bolts. One goes in here, one goes in down here. That's the back of it, that's where they're at, that's where they're located. They're a pain to get off, but I got them off. Now you're just going to take off this shield. Is what I'm going to do, because I'm going to be replacing the tie rod, the outer tie rod and inner tie rod. So I'm going to just go ahead and take this off so it's out of the way. And I'm also going to take and pop this off right here with the flat tip. And that's going to get me to the axle nut. And I can get the axle nut off so that I can replace this wheel hub assembly. Pretty simple. You're going to want to use a breaker bar probably for the axle nut. I even had to use a breaker bar to get the caliper bolts out because it was stubborn. I even had to go and get a nice 1/2 inch deep weld 15 millimeter socket that was like $6-7 just for that. And I also of course had to go get the 36 millimeter axle nut because I only have a 35 millimeter. Of course 35 I have, and it's a 36. Doesn't even make sense. The F-150 is a 35 millimeter axle nut and this one is a 36. Okay, what's up everyone? I was going ahead and removing the shield, the dust shield for the brakes, and come to find out it's riveted in. So what I did was I took my chisel and my handy dandy 3-pound hammer and I just went ahead and cut that sucker off. Got a little crazy with it. I couldn't get it real flush because of the angle of the fender, so I didn't have that much clearance. It was a little bit of a pain to get it off. So the bottom one down here, I'm going to use my drill and try to drill that one out and see which way I like better. Alright, I got another one of these rivets out. Got it out a lot nicer than I did this half job. Then I realized there's another one over here. So I don't feel like making a bunch of noise right now. It's probably like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So I'm going to just go ahead and replace the wheel hub assembly. What you're going to need to do is take the cap, this cap, just put a screwdriver in there, pop it off, and then take your 36 millimeter, put it on there, get a breaker bar, take it off. That's what I'm going to do now. Okay, now just go ahead and loosen it the rest of the way up. Don't lose this. That's simple. Came right off. It's pretty gnarly looking. Pretty gross. I'm gonna clean up the shaft. Okay, I just cleaned it up. Now I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of grease on it. Time to get the new one out. Dun, dun, dun. I was using that box as my stand. She's pretty looking. Now as you can see, the bearing is inside there. It is already greased. Everything. New, old. Much better. There you go. Slides right on. I mean, took a little bit of force. Just got to make sure it's lined up straight. That's it. It's on. And all you do is go ahead, tighten this back up. Now, if you want, you can look up the specs for it. I think it's somewhere around 200 foot-pounds of torque. I just tighten it up pretty doggone tight. It is what holds your whole tire and wheel on. Now I get out the breaker bar in a minute and tighten it down. So that's it. That's how to replace your hub. Pretty simple. Looks a lot better. I mean, it's an easy job to do if your wheel bearing is going out, especially on like this this Ford Mustang. With it being rear-wheel drive, it's easier in my opinion. Now I got more to replace. I'm gonna do the end link and the lower ball joints and everything. So I'm not going to put the whole car back together unless I can't get the press tomorrow. If I can't get the press, then I'm gonna just say forget it for now and put it back together so I can take it to the track. At least now with this new wheel hub assembly on, I'm not too worried about taking it to the track. Now with the bushings and stuff like that being worn out on the ball joint and the tie rod in, I mean, it's not going to go perfectly straight, but it's not going to be making a 10-second pass, so it's nothing I can't handle. Alright, well, I was going to split this video up to just the wheel bearing, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to just do a video me doing everything to one whole side. Now I'm going to do the outer tie rod in. Gotta first take out the cotter pin and then loosen up the nut. I also have new sway bar end links, but to be honest, those sway bar end links don't look half bad. They actually look newer to the car, probably installed when they put on the Summit Racing springs. So I'm going to leave those for now and just keep my two that I have as extra spares in case I need to replace them down the road. Look at this. Junk. Old. Out with the old, in with the new. Using my Christmas gift. Ratcheting wrench. Yeah, buddy. That actually stuck it on the tie rod in, the outer tie rod bolt that holds it on. And I had sat down and put my leg up against it, thinking that I was going to put some oomph into it. And I just barely touched it, and the bolt started coming out. That was not expecting that. It took me probably 3 hours to get the bolt out all together, partly last night and then after work today, getting a new socket. Altogether, 3 hours to get the two bolts out of the caliper. This one come out like butter. I love it when it works out like that, but still, that was a pain getting the caliper off. I got the bolt out for that end link. I mean, not the end link. The outer tie rod in. Now, it should just come out with the hammer. I just want to see if it was loose in there. Now, usually you can take a hammer and hit it. There we go, drop down. I knew the shield was being a pain in the butt. Now, when you go to take this out, count how many complete revolutions it takes to get it completely off. And then once you go to install the new one, you're going to put it on the same revolutions that you took it off. So if it's 20 to take it off, then it's 20 to put it on. And that'll somewhat keep your alignment in check. It won't be perfect, you'll still have to get alignment, but that way it'll be close enough to be drivable. Okay, I went ahead and put the outer tie rod in, back in, stuck the bolt in there just to hold it. And then what you're going to want to do, I forgot, is to loosen up this outer nut that is holding everything together. You just want to loosen it up a little bit. See, it's starting to split. To get my outer tie rod off the inner tie rod, it was 22 complete turns or revolutions. Alright, another day out here. This makes day 3. Got the press though, so I can do the lower ball joints. I went ahead, took the 2 bolts off from the spindle. That way I can get and take the spindle off. Still never took the shield all the way off. I got 2 of them off, and the third one I said forget it. Too much work to try to get them off. And they said up top here, with a 21mm, you should be able to get this off. But when I try to take it off, the whole thing spins. So I'm like, forget it. I'll just try to do the lower ball joint with the strut still on the car. That new hub assembly looks nice, don't it? Also, my new shirts for my channel just came in. Got a couple of them. I'm going to give one away when I hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to do a separate video for that and show everyone, so stay tuned for that. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this nut off for the spindle. Alright, just got this bolt off. It is a 15/16 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, it's a 15/16, and then to get these 2 strut bolts off the spindle, it's a 21mm on one side and a 15/16 on the other side. Now the spindle should just lift right up. I'm going to do that now. Sorry, I'm trying to kind of make this short. I'm covering a lot of different parts changing out, so I'm not really doing a lot of video of me actually doing it. I'm just explaining what to do. Anyways, just go ahead and lift this right up. Usually the ABS line is connected, so you'll want to keep it somewhat close to the car. But somewhat jackwad before me already broke it, so I don't have to worry about this side. I can do whatever I want with the spindle. Gotta be careful though, that new wheel hub assembly is already on there. I don't want to mess it up. What's up, everyone? That took quite some time, a few hours at least. I told you that this spindle should just come right off of the ball joint. As you can see on it, I was beating the heebie-jeebies out of this thing, and it was just stuck to the ball joint. It seemed like it seized up on there. This is the ball joint. It's pretty wrecked. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up. You press this out. I went ahead and got the press out and pressed it out, and the spindle was still on here with the ball joint out, just dangling there. So I took my 3-pound hammer and started beating on the top of this, and it finally popped loose. And I've done all this with the strut still in the car. Now to press it in, you're going to press it in from the bottom, press it up into it. Depending upon what ball joint you buy, it may or may not come with the nut that goes on top that will hold the spindle on and the cotter pin. This one did come with it. I'll also have in the description below the link to everything I bought, the wheel bearings, assembly, and all the components, lower ball joints, outer tie rod, inner tie rods, the wheel bearing assemblies. I got as a kit for they're both front, and then everything else I got as a kit. So there'll be 2 links to each kit. This is how the press will look when you're pressing the ball joint back in. You'll use the big piece that's hollowed out up top with one of these flat pieces that grips to the top of this. And you're going to use another one of these flat pieces at the bottom to even it out so you don't poke a hole or squish the center of it. And then you got to account for a lot of room for this because you're going to have this backed all the way out. I had to go ahead and jack the car up some more in order for me to have enough room. Just another little pain in the butt thing. Now I got the new one in. I'm gonna go ahead and try to disconnect the inner tie rod since I have some bigger wrenches today. Okay, I went ahead, pushed this back, took this big old wrench that I have and broke this loose. Has to be a pretty big wrench. I was using an adjustable one yesterday, it wasn't quite big enough. So when at my dad's house, got a couple. This one worked. You just gotta push this boot back. And then, I don't know if you can see, but this is already spinning, it's loose. So I'm gonna just go ahead and take it off, and then it's just time to install everything. Same way you took it off, just install it. Put this boot back on, use a zip tie on it, and then don't forget how many turns you turned your outer tie rod off. Mine was 22. I'm gonna turn it 22 cranks back on. But first I gotta put the spindle back on after I get done with this part. Alright, here's the old inner tie rod. That's pretty loose. You don't really want it that loose. I went ahead and took the boot off. It was stuck down here just from it being so old. Here's the new one. Ain't no play in it. This one comes with a new nut at the end. Go ahead and slide this old boot back on. And don't forget to put on your old clip for it before you go ahead and put the bolt on. And this bolt's going to be pretty far up there because I got to turn the outer tie rod 22 times onto here. So we're just going to put it about there and just see. I'll just go ahead and turn this new one back on. Okay, got everything tightened up. Just got to put the caliper, brake caliper back on. I went ahead and used a washer and a nut and a bolt to hold this on. That way it won't go nowhere. Don't forget to mount this up here and put your brake caliper on. I tightened everything up, put the cotter pin in there. Alright, got the caliper back on, got the rotor back on. I forgot to mention to put the rotor on earlier. I was talking about putting the caliper on it and the rotor wasn't even on yet. Idiot. I went ahead and tightened up this one that holds the ABS on. I forgot to mention to put the cotter pin in a new ball joint if yours comes with one. Now the only thing I have to do is finish putting out. I'm going to try to use that old clamp. Put that clamp on and tighten up this a little bit more, and then put the rim and tire on. And this side's done. Now it currently is 1:12 in the morning on Thursday. I want to take the car to test and tune at my local track, Bradenton Motorsports Park, and I don't know, I got the other side to do. I could just leave the other side and take it to the track, since this was the wheel bearing that was bad, but the outer tie rod and the lower ball joint on the other side are bad. It wouldn't cause any real problems just taking it to the track, but my dumbass yesterday went ahead and loosened up all the bolts to everything, so I might as well do it. So I'm going to try to do it tonight, but I don't know. I don't have to record that one. It's going to be the same thing on that side as it was on this side. So that'd be it for this video. That's how to replace your inner and outer tie rods, lower ball joint, and wheel hub assembly. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Till next time. Peace.